As Mark Twain said, faith is believing what you know ain't so. This is Freethought Radio.
Welcome back to Freethought Radio. I'm Annie Laurie Gaylor, co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
And I'm Amit Pal, FFRF's Communications Director. We have as our guest today Gauhar Raza, an Indian scientist, poet, and documentary filmmaker. He's recognized for proposing the cultural distance model of public understanding of science, writing acclaimed books of Urdu poetry, and directing powerful documentaries. We'll be talking to him about his new book, From Myths to Science, The Evolving Story of the Universe, and the hurdles that he and fellow rationalists are facing in current-day India under the Hindu nationalist government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On a personal note, Annie Laurie, Dan and I undertook a tour of India a couple of years ago, and in New Delhi, we met a really formidable activist, Shabnam Hashmi, who really caught our attention. So much so that we've had her on Freethought Radio a number of times since then. I didn't know this. When I was researching Gauhar, I found out that he and Shabnam are a couple. So that filled me with so much delight. Welcome to the show, Gauhar, all the way from India.
It's an honor for me to be on your show. It's a privilege, and I'm very happy to share some of my thoughts. The opportunity that you have given to me, I hope that I'll do justice to it.
So, Gauhar, let's start with the basic themes of your book. You juxtapose science and religion extremely well. Could you please, to the extent that they both can be defined, can you try to define both of them and provide some contrasts the way you have in your book?
That was exactly the purpose of writing book, that I should be able to define science and religion both and juxtapose them. The idea was that I should be able to say what is not science ultimately. And this was the question that was troubling me for a very long time. And when I started looking at the literature, then I found that a lot of philosophers like Adam Smith to Marx and Engels and Lenin and many others have tried to define science in their own ways. And Kuhn is a big name there, and Popper is a big name there. But then hardcore scientists and hardcore politicians have tried to define. But I found that these were the definitions which were ingrained within scientific discipline. They tried to define science from within. What was lacking was that what is the other, what is not science, so that we can define science. And in my opinion, science is a way of configuring reality, both physical and social reality, that doesn't invoke any supernatural power. It's generation of knowledge that doesn't invoke supernatural power. Whereas religion, and in religion I include in that big basket all organized religions, unorganized religions, animists, and even those who believe in intelligent design. That is the fashion today. All of them somewhere invoke supernatural power. At times they call it energy. At times they call it positive energy. So religion for me, all the religion, if all of them are put in a basket, the common thread between them is that they invoke supernatural power. Based on that, they build the logic. And this logic, a lot of people say that science is logical and religion is not logical. No, I don't think that's. Religion has its own logic. The basis for that religion is definitely supernatural power. And once you accept that there is some supernatural power, then you build your logic on that. And this supernatural power, in most cases, if you look at religions and myths of even olden days, then this supernatural power can be delegated to some human beings as well, or even the animals. Uh, that is the basis for religion.
So, thinkers from Aristotle and on have tried to talk about the importance of rationality. Can you fill us in on that?
It's a difficult task for many reasons. Uh, in a deeply religious society, it becomes more difficult, in fact. Propagating science and scientific ideas and scientific conclusions become increasingly problematic because people do not understand definitions. And science survives on definitions, and then certain words get a very different meaning in science because they are strictly defined. Like there is a difference between velocity and speed in science, whereas there is no difference, they are synonym as far as literature is concerned. So, understanding science itself requires a bit of training, but that's true for appreciating painting also, and poetry and literature. You do need a little bit of training. It becomes increasingly difficult in a deeply religious society because then uh, you have to interact with citizens who believe in certain things which have been handed over to them through generations. And these belief systems collide with scientific conclusions. And that creates a problem within the society and also in propagating scientific ideas in deeply religious societies. Uh, if I take an example, that if there is a myth which is very prevalent in society, that uh, somebody could break the moon into two, or people are born out of head and shoulder and stomach and feet, uh, then it is very difficult to propagate uh, Darwinism in that society. There will be a reaction. And through history, we have seen how societies have reacted to what scientists had to tell them. We know what happened to Copernicus's book. We know that Bruno was burnt alive. We know that in India, Aryabhat's book was disbanded. And we know what happened with Galileo. These are stark examples.
So, Gauhar, you have talked in your book about scientific temper, and somebody who was a big propagator of this was India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, who's in our Freethought pantheon. Can you explain to our listeners and viewers what scientific temper is and why it is actually in the Indian Constitution?
Let me read his beautiful quotation from his book Discovery of India. It is the scientific approach, the adventurous yet critical temper of science, the search for truth and knowledge, the refusal to accept anything without testing and trial, the capacity to change previous conclusions in the face of new evidence, the reliance on observed facts and not on preconceived theory, the hard discipline of mind. All this is necessary not merely for the application of science, but for life itself and the solutions of its many problems. Now, I find it a very beautiful definition of what scientific temper is about. And the amazing thing is that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was not a scientist, yet he was trying to define scientific temper. And at one place he says scientific temper is temper of a free man. Today, it will be politically incorrect because he has used It's a temper of man. And yeah. But realize how complex idea of scientific temper is being defined in such simple words. And our constitution now has Article 51AH, which says that it is duty of every citizen to spread a spirit of inquiry, scientific temper, and humanism.
Wow, I wish we had that one, although I don't know that it's being very well enforced there in India right now. We are speaking with author Gauhar Raza. Did I get that right?
Yes.
About his new book, The Myth to Science, The Evolving Story of the Universe. And Gauhar, when we come back, I want you to talk about this kind of unique phenomenon that we're not that familiar with in the United States called Godmen. I'm Annie Laurie Gaylor.
And I'm Amit Pal.
And we'll be right back.
If you'd like to stay up to date on FFR's activities, subscribe to Freethought Today, published 10 times a year. It includes church-state separation news, columns about non-theism, a freethinker's crossword puzzle, and so much more. You can learn more at freethoughttoday.com or ffrf.org.
Protect the First Amendment. It protects you. This is Freethought Radio.
Welcome back to the final segment of this week's Freethought Radio. I'm Annie Laurie Gaylor.
And I'm Amit Pal, FFRF Communications Director. And we are delighted to have as our guest today, all the way from India, Gauhar Raza, an Indian scientist, poet, and documentary filmmaker, talking about his new book, From Myths to Science, and more broadly, the obstacles that rationalists and scientists face under the current Indian government of Hindu nationalist Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
So, Gauhar, we were talking in the last break about this unique phenomenon in India that's kind of ubiquitous called Godmen. What are Godmen, and do they cause a lot of problems?
I have to add slightly to this, Annie Laurie. They are so everywhere that even in my family village, there are a couple of them who have a substantial following. So yes, God, please enlighten our audience about what Godmen are.
It's a phenomena it's a new phenomena. In fact, Godmen have always existed in Indian society, but this brand of Godmen are a new phenomena which is rooted in 1980s. There has been a shift again in their nature of operation, and they have become so big, and they have following in millions, and they have amassed huge property, and also their worth is in millions of dollars now. So if you take 10 of them, top 10 of them in India, it is their worth is almost three times the budget of school education.
Oh,
Wow.
So that is how they're big. And Prime Minister Modi was a follower of, and clips keep on circulating, follower of one of the Godmen who was later on arrested. There was another Godman who amassed not only property, but also arms and ammunition. That
Wow.
was the charge. He was a rapist, and the other one, who was followed by Modi, was also arrested he's in jail as of now for rape
Wow.
case. But ministers after ministers have gone, and they have been given parole. Whereas anybody who protested against this government is in jail. So that is how they are powerful. I call them the factories of producing superstitions. And there is a nexus between political leadership of today, Godmen, and the crony capital in India. And that is how they have become very powerful. They are also intervening in various sectors of life, including education, presently in India.
And what sort of things do they preach or propagate?
They propagate all kinds of, including very hilarious and almost stupid kind of superstitions. Like somebody comes and says that I have been facing problems in my life, and the fellow tells them that go and put a bottle of Coca-Cola in your fridge. You have not bought it for a very long time. One of the, in fact, a CSIR colleague of ours died because he was prescribed by them to drink a lot of gourd juice, and he died
Wow.
consuming that. A
Gourd, the
lot of,
plant gourd. Yeah.
yes, yeah, vegetable.
Yeah.
They have been propagating that cow urine
Yeah.
cures cancer.
Oh,
Uh, and if
wow.
you a cow in a particular fashion, your blood pressure will either go up or will be controlled. So all these, and these are people sitting, following these godmen and propagating their ideas and sitting in very responsible
Yeah.
positions.
Mm.
Yeah.
Judges, the chief ministers, member of parliament. So all kinds of people are their followers. That is what is happening in India. But this phenomena is not only confined to India. It is pan Indian subcontinent.
Yes.
Mhm.
There
Yes.
are
Correct.
godmen in Pakistan. There are godmen in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
There are godmen in Nepal. There are godmen in Sri Lanka.
So Gauhar, you alluded to this and the unscientific approach of the current Indian government, which has been called by a renowned historian as the most unscientific government in independent India's history. Can you talk about the what all Narendra Modi's government has done and the additional obstacles that it has thrown up for rationalists and progressive thinkers such as you?
Yes, and I agree with this statement that this has been the most unscientific government in the history of the country. Uh, there is a long list, and if I start narrating every thing that has gone on during this period, then it will take probably consume the entire time. I'll give you examples. Modi himself said that the elephant god is proof of plastic
Yes.
surgery that we could do in ancient Indian
Ganesha,
in ancient
Ganesha,
India.
Ganesh. Yes,
Ganesh.
yeah, that he was proof that plastic surgery was done in ancient India. I read about
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
And one of the ministers of education said that my ancestors lived very close to jungles, the forests, but they never saw anybody getting any monkey getting converted into human beings. Therefore, Darwinism should not be taught
Oh,
in
dear.
schools. And this government has removed Darwinism from school textbook. This government has um, yeah, taken that chapter on periodic table away from the
Wow.
children.
yeah.
So, is there any recourse given some of the good constitutional language you have on science and separation of state and church? Are people suing?
Yeah, is there any legal avenue to get those portions put back in those textbooks?
No, we can't do anything because these are independent bodies. They say that we are not intervening, and court refuses to say anything about how and what should be taught and what should not be taught.
Mm.
In fact, when the government introduced astrology as one of the subject
Wow.
in university, the court refused to intervene, and it is still taught in certain places in the country. Astrology is posed as science. This government has completely, shamelessly, in fact, has introduced uh, big funds for doing research on cow urine,
Yes.
Oh,
cow dung. There is mythical, mm, what should I call, Sanjeevani booty, uh, uh, which can treat any and every ailment. So money is being given for searching that Sanjeevani booty.
well, we are so sorry we're out of time, but people can get your book. We are talking with the author.
Gauhar Raza, scientist, communicator, poet, and documentary filmmaker from India, about his new book, which is very readily available in the United States. I checked, From Myths to Science, published by Penguin.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
lovely to talk to you and through you to your listeners and viewer. Goodbye.
And that's our show for today. If you're a member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, we really appreciate it. And if you're not, you can see that what's happening in the United States is happening globally as well. This wave of irrationality and theocracy, and we have to band together and resist. So please join us at ffrf.org.